Whether you are using the Shopify Dawn theme, another Shopify store theme, or maybe you have a third-party theme and you want to put a new theme onto your theme store, this is the video for you. I'm going to walk through how to update your online store theme and do it in a way that you know you have a backup, and then exactly what to look for once you've updated your theme and what to do next. Get ready to update your Shopify store theme so you can have new features, new updates, and so all the apps work with your business. This video is going to be great for you no matter what Shopify store theme you're using. So if you're using Dawn, this will be great for you. I am personally using Ride on my online store, and it does need an update. If you are not using either of those themes, but you are using a Shopify store theme, this is going to be perfect for you. I have some information at the end of this video if you are not using a Shopify store theme or using a third-party theme on some steps you can take. So let's figure out how to tell if your Shopify store needs a theme update. If your online store is not visible over in your sales channels, you're going to go to there and go ahead and type in online store. And what I like to do is have it over here on my left-hand side, and you can pin it if you'd like. From there, this is the current theme that is live on your online store. You're going to have a notification that says, for me, Ride version 15.3 available. And that tells you there's a new version available. You would also be able to see this when you're customizing your online store. And in this little ... you'll be able to see your version number. And just in case you didn't know, you can immediately access any documentation or support specifically provided by that theme provider. The first step you need to do to check for updates is to go to your sales channels and online store, and that's where we're going to get all the information. So once you're in your online store, this first block up here, this big block is the live theme that is currently active that everyone can see on your store. So this drop down right here is going to say the name of your theme, version 123 is available. That's going to tell you that there is a new theme available. So you might not know if you need a theme update, and there are certain cases where I would definitely recommend a theme update and certain cases where I wouldn't. Let's talk specifically about Dawn. If you have not updated Dawn in over a year, or your theme in general in over a year, I would do this next step I'm going to show you, which is how to figure out exactly what is going to happen in the new theme that isn't currently happening in your online store. So you'll be able to easily see that you don't necessarily have to update a theme. So if you have a lot of custom code, or you just don't like this process at all, and you go to look at the theme release notes and it says like, now you can make the button one other color, and that wasn't something that you need, then you don't have to worry about updating your theme. Just keep an eye on it and keep looking at what the release notes say. So in order to find the release notes, you're going to go down to this drop down and you're going to click the button that says view release notes. So on here, this is actually going to take you to your theme's Shopify theme store page. So just because it's store doesn't mean you necessarily paid for it. It's still in the store. But what is handy here, once you've got the theme on your store, is the support and documentation tab that it takes you to. And it's going to actually list something called release notes, and that has all the different changes that have occurred. So typically, if, for example, this says 15, if my theme was still on like 13 or 14, I would definitely want to consider a theme change. So Ride 15.3 is available, and I believe I'm on Ride version 13 right there. So I'm definitely due for an update, which is why we're here in this video. If I go to my release notes and I take a look here, I've got some pagination on the quick order list, update settings labels, introduce a few bug fixes, and then I could go even further into here and see exactly what else they've told me is included. I'm already 2 versions behind, so I feel like this is going to be a great time to update. One thing I want to note here is that Shopify is going to tell you that your code changes won't be included because one or more changes conflicts with the update. After the updated theme is added to your theme library, you'll be able to copy your code over or reconfigure some apps. And this is totally true. And this is maybe the scary part about updating your theme is any customizations that might be going on that don't copy over. So I'm going to show you in another video an app that I'm testing in order to monitor those changes and make it a little bit more streamlined. In the next couple of steps, it's going to help save you some stress and headache, as you'll always have a fallback plan. We checked for our updates and we took a look at our release notes, and let's talk about what we need to do first. In the next 3 steps, you're going to take a look at your apps, you're going to duplicate your theme, and you're going to go ahead and add the theme to the library. We're not going to get to the publish step yet, but we will in just a couple minutes. I always recommend to take a look at your apps at this point because you don't want to carry over. If you can avoid carrying over any additional code or not having to worry about if this app needed a specific customization, auditing your apps just very quickly will allow you to know, okay, these are all the apps I want and need. Now these are the only ones I have to worry about moving forward. So to do that, over on your left-hand side, click on apps, and then you're going to get a list of all of the apps you are using or not using. So I'm actually not using Promote Affiliate. I know that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and get rid of it because I don't want to worry about bringing it over. Once I'm in the app that I don't need anymore, you're going to go to the very top right, almost the very top right, and in the 3 dots, click uninstall. A request will be sent to the app developer within 48 hours to delete all personal customer information. Reason for uninstalling, you don't have to choose that if you want. And then I'm going to click uninstall. Typically, what uninstalling is going to do is remove any of that code that was built into the code aspect of your online store theme, which is not necessarily in the online store theme editor. Sometimes it's not perfect. Okay, so I can now see in my uninstalled section that that is there, so that's great. This has brought up another place where we can look at our apps. I think I'm going to keep everything else as is. Great, I took a look at my apps. I removed the one I didn't want to have to worry about carrying over in our theme update. Now we're going to duplicate our theme and add the new theme to the theme library. You want to do this so that before you do make any changes, you can create a backup and duplicate the current theme that's on your store. I like doing both. What I'm going to do is go to the drop down and I'm actually going to download the theme file. When you do this, you are going to get an email to the account you're logged into your Shopify store with, and it's going to give you a zip file of your theme. So send that email. We're not going to do anything with that today, but it is, in my opinion, a great way to have this theme file without needing to be logged into your online store should anything happen security-wise to you at any point. And I just like having that downloaded file just external to my Shopify account, and I've got it in another place. Okay, so at this point, we are going to duplicate the theme. And to do that, go to the ... and duplicate. So you'll see it spinning. That means it's doing the duplicating, and I'm going to give it a name along with the date and a description, just so I know at what stage in my online store did I work on this theme. Okay, so it says just added. It's still yelling at me that I need to do an update. I'm going to click on this ... and rename. Okay, so this is my original theme that's still live on my site as of the time of this moment in recording is still live on my store. So that hasn't changed. I also have backed up the theme by sending it to my email and by duplicating it inside the account itself. So we haven't made any changes to the store, but we've ensured that should we need a fallback plan and we don't like the outcome of our theme update, we can go back to it. We are ready to add the new version, for me, version 15, to my theme library within my account. So I'm going to go to that drop down. I already read the notes. I already backed everything up. I'm going to add it to my theme library. Do not worry. This does not publish it live. This does not update the version of your theme that is live right now. It is simply doing exactly what it looked like we were doing before, which is adding a theme to the theme library for you to go ahead and use in just a couple minutes. Hopefully you felt comfortable getting to this point in our process to get your online store theme updated. Now we're going to get into a little bit more lift as far as the work goes. We're going to take a look at the updated theme, see what's happening inside, see how everything is looking. And then we're going to talk about any customizations that we have our eye on to move forward with. Let's go ahead and get into those. We are in our online store editor and the theme has been added successfully, and we can see that Ride version 15.3 is available. I'm going to go ahead and rename. I'm going to rename it to this for the time being while I'm working on it. Let's start by simply previewing the theme. We don't have to worry about going into the online store editor. And so we're going to click the ... and click on preview. So at this point, I'm going to browse some of my flagship pages and just make sure or take a look at any changes I need to make note of. So one reason I'm looking at this page is because I have a couple of apps going on here with a timer and some add to cart upsell features. So this is looking good, which tells me those two apps are seemingly running okay right now. I also have a third-party app that is a page builder. So this product page actually doesn't typically look like this. It is more of a landing page style page. So I can tell that I'm going to have to take a look at my third-party page builder. So I'm going to take note of that. I'm going to go to my bag or my cart here and just make sure that checkout can initiate like I want it to, and it does. So at bare minimum, I know that I need to check on my landing page app, but it looks like people could still check out if they were to use this version of the theme. Let's go over a little bit deeper into layout and design. So there are some core templates built into Shopify store themes, and I'm going to show you those so that you can quickly walk through them. Just to give you an example, they are the home page, the product page, collection page. They are the cart, your checkout, blogs and blog pages, standard pages, and those are most of the core pages that you're going to see inside of any online store editor. So let's go in and click on customize. And this is also something that I cover in Theme Thunder Toolkit, which is going to help you pick out a theme, no matter if it's free or paid, based on exactly what your product line is and how you want the store to serve your business. If you want to see how I pick themes for clients, you can grab that in the link below. At this point, I'm worried about this button right here because I can go ahead and browse the homepage, product page, collections, collections list, everything I just mentioned and a little bit more. Checkout is going to take you to a different section of your online store admin settings. If you are updating from an online store that is not 2.0, so a previous version, you're going to want to take a few minutes to read up on the new checkout experiences and some settings you might want to change in your Shopify store settings. Okay, so nothing looks vastly different at this point, which to me is a good thing. I just went in to check on all the layout and design of just the core pages that come with any Shopify store theme. And now I'm going to test just adding something to cart. I'm going to go to my bag and remove that from cart. Just kind of follow along with this. So this is another part of one of the apps that I'm using. So I'm glad that that came up because it looks great as far as apps updating, and I would be able to check out. Okay, at this point, we're going to do the work to take a look at transferring any customizations that you might have. So to manually transfer any custom code or settings from your old theme to the updated version, I work in Shopify all the time and I'm customizing my store all the time. So I'm pretty familiar, like the back of my hand, with what customizations I have in place. That's probably not you, and you might want to do one of two things. Use a store comparison tool or a backup tool, code comparison. There are a few of them in the Shopify store, and I am testing the one by Out of the Sandbox, which is a theme updater app that will help me track any changes that I want to be aware of and customizations. I'll have another video on that. The other way to do this is each time that you do a Shopify store customization, go in, I use ClickUp, but you could use a Google Doc or a spreadsheet and just notate what those changes are. Maybe you would want to write what the change was, include any custom coding with it, whether it's in the store editor or in the code, and I'll show you that in a second. And then every time you go to make a change, you just need to make that part of your workflow. By doing that, you'll be able to know every time you update your theme, a punch list of exactly what you need to go over to make sure your customizations have carried over. That's just a little bit different than apps, because apps may need updating or being turned on and off again, whereas code, you need to check and make sure the code is still in the right place doing what you intended it to do. If anything's looking strange that you can identify pretty quickly by just browsing through like we have so far, you can go into the section itself and take a look at any custom CSS. If something just looks visually not right, I'm guessing you've done some custom coding, and what has happened is the CSS or custom coding doesn't align with the names of the elements and the way the HTML is set up or the liquid set up in your new update. So if anything looks a little wonky, go directly into each section or the section where it looks weird and see if you've got some CSS there. So I've got a product page here with an example of custom CSS. So if this were to have looked odd when I checked on this page, then I could go into this section specifically, and I've got some custom CSS there. Paragraph tag and H2 tags, those are going to be pretty standard, so I wouldn't expect that to have changed. But if you had some more elaborate custom coding, you would want to go into your online store editor, into the section to take a look at fixing it. So let's say you know you have some custom code changes and you want to see what's happening on your new theme. You are going to go into your store editor and click in the ... here, and you're going to go to edit code. Once you're in edit code, you will go into the page that you need. Mine already has main product pulled up because I was looking at it a couple of minutes ago. But you would go in, and if you're curious, you can start comparing differences on your own. If you're using a third-party app that will track this for you, it will start to tell you some lines to take a look at. I see everything is looking the way I want in it, but I do know, obviously, with two versions of changes, that there's quite a bit of difference in code. So this section for main product liquid ends on line 2254. However, my old page ended on line 2209. So there could be a couple of things happening here. It could have taken any of my customizations and just rendered the lines differently. It could have just that much difference of coding. That is something I will get into my own custom edits and taking a look there. Now, one thing I want to point out at this point, if you had a non 2.0 theme, so something earlier than the 2.0 themes, which I did a lot of 2.0 theme updates last year for clients. So it's becoming less and less frequent because people have gotten it done. But if you have still not updated your theme to a 2.0 theme, one thing that I want to show you is in your online store editor, going into the gear, which is your theme settings, and you're going to see something called schemes. Schemes are super helpful for easily applying your specific brand colors to certain sections so that you have some variety in what your page looks like. When you are working with schemes, you can actually pull your brand colors, and these are actually pulling from your Shopify store settings in the bottom left-hand corner, and you have a place where you can input the colors you want to use throughout your site. When you're creating schemes, you can actually choose directly from the colors that are built in because you told it your brand colors. And I find that's really helpful for making great decisions very easily with your colors. And then you can save different schemes. So different sections can have a different scheme. I've done this in a couple different places. So like this workshop page has this scheme, and then down here it has a different scheme. This is the type of really useful feature that I would recommend doing an update for, because this makes store editing and customization easier, but there are more features than just this. Okay, I also want to take a look now. One tricky thing just about apps in general is that when you do a store update, the apps will show in your online store editor, but any changes to them, you can't really see until you're live. If you know a way to circumnavigate that for a typical user, I would love to know. But anytime I've done an update, the apps are kind of the last chunk of what I need to verify once the site is live. So after working with the same apps over and over, I'm pretty familiar with what that could look like. When you're in preview mode, most of your apps are going to render on preview mode as any settings that are currently in place. So it would not be until you publish what you're working on that you can then make those final changes to any apps that are visible to the user. Let's move on to the next part of our theme update. So at this point, I want to talk to you about checking for app compatibility. When it comes to choosing apps and when it comes to choosing themes, I really like knowing I'm choosing something with great customer support. Judge Me is a great example of that. So what I love about Judge Me as far as being a very responsive app is, let's say you update your theme and now the color isn't coming through the way you want on your Judge Me badge. What's amazing is they will help you almost typically every time I've done it in real time and get that changed for you. So that is an example of an app that has great responsiveness for their customers. Just a tip, if you're researching apps, researching themes, take a look at your access to support with them. I've seen some apps that the only way you get support is if you pay extra, or if you're on an additional plan or a paid plan with them, or a higher tier paid plan. So Judge Me is a really good example. I have Judge Me over here pinned in my apps. And if we go into any section of Judge Me, we can see they have a chat icon here. And so messaging them to get support with your app, all you have to do is let them know you've done an update and that maybe you have an issue, and then they will help you. Now we're in the final steps. We want to publish the theme, test the functionality, and monitor performance. So let me tell you what we're going to do, and then I'll show you. To publish the updated theme, we're going to go into our online store editor and click publish. You should have no problem wanting to revert back with any changes. To test store functionality, I like assigning a code to me and my email address so that I can follow through in the entire purchase funnel and complete an actual purchase by using a code. You could do that in a way where you put your site in test mode, but for most people who are running online businesses, you would probably want to really plan for that kind of change. From there, I want to show you how to monitor performance and exactly what I do with the Shopify report itself. Let's talk about publishing our updated theme. In our themes here, we are going to see we have the still live version, which is unchanged at this time. Then we can see we have the version that's updated to 15.3 and an exact duplicate of what is live. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and publish my 15.3. And it's going to say, do you really want to publish? And I'm going to say, yeah. We can see Bride version 15.3 is now live. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and click on the eyeball over here to look at my online store. I'm going to close my preview because this is no longer a preview. This is the live 15.3. And I wanted to see how that one product is looking. Okay, so this is good. My app that I'm using for my landing page builder rendered that landing page as it should. This is another example of, since the site wasn't live, anything controlling the appearance via app worked when it was live and not in the preview. And that is something that I will have to keep in mind, or that I am writing down specifically for that app and anytime I do an update. So yes, that is looking good. Now, just to show you how easy it would be to go back to your other theme, you can, here's our duplicate, our backup. You could have labeled that backup if you wanted to, with the date and the name of the theme and the version. You can see that this version of Ride is still telling us there's an update on it because this version is still on 13.0. So if I wanted to go back, I was like, oh no, when I published it, my main app isn't working. Now I have to talk to them about it. Then we would go to publish this one, and it would do the same thing. If you want to publish it, they're going to see it, and you would say publish. So you could go back to your old theme very easily there in case you needed to make some changes. At this point, I'm not going to show you a discount code checkout because I don't want to go and display my discount codes. But what I would exactly do is go to Shopify settings on the left and go to the discounts panel. In the discounts panel, make a code just for yourself. So when you make the code, scroll down and you'll be able to sign it to just you and your email address and set the code to discount at 100%. With your new theme live, then go and make a purchase using your codes. You don't have to transact with a credit card, and you'll be able to go through the process from beginning to end, making sure that your store is functioning. I've never done an update where now the store cannot check out anymore. That's typically not an issue that you would have. What you do want to see is any apps to interact with along the way, how they're performing and functioning now that the store is live and you're acting as a customer. Let's take a look at performance. And we want to take a look up here. I've had this conversation with lots of people who work in Shopify all the time. And this is not something that I typically am monitoring up here in the loading speed, interactivity, visual stability. Now, if I opened your site and these were all bad, I'd probably dive into it a little bit more. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm not necessarily clicking on this and figuring out ways I can get it up higher. However, what I do want to look at is that over a period of time, now that I've updated my theme, my vitals aren't going down. If you change themes and it was a more poor performing theme than what you had, you would start to see these results shoot down. I would anticipate they just shoot down just because you updated your theme. It's probably not going to happen, especially if you're using a Shopify verified theme through the theme store. But what I want to say here is I'm taking a look at the loading speed, interactivity, and visual stability as reported by Shopify here. And what I want to do is click on one of them. I've set that to 90 days. Tomorrow and in the coming days, I want to monitor that this data isn't just shooting down. Set a reminder for tomorrow, the next couple days, the next week, the next month, to take a look at anything that's showing instability or less performance than it was before. At that point, you want to determine, is it an app? Is it some animation feature that's happening here? What can you optimize to come back from the poor performance? I don't sit here and figure out how I can get these stats from good to the most good possible, but I do think in terms of a conversation about theme updating, this would be a time to put your eyeballs on there until you're satisfied that the theme is going to perform well for you. We've gone over how to tell if your theme needs an update, what to do first, the actual work of updating your theme, what next steps you can take as far as apps, and your final few steps as far as getting your theme live and published. If you want to know what really great product pages look like and why they look that way, I have product page swipes available for you. You can find that below. And if you want the how-to step-by-step build of a product page using Done or any other theme so that you get more add to carts, more conversions, and more sales, I have the high converting product page masterclass for you. If you're not sure what theme you want to choose or switch to, but you have amazing products that you really want to give them the best merchandising in an online store environment, I would go ahead and grab my Theme Thunder Toolkit, and you will be able to evaluate the themes that you like and figure out which one exactly has your non-negotiables and will present your product line in the exact best way without making a purchase and without wasting money on a high-end theme if you don't need one, and without having to waste time and money with a third-party theme on Etsy or ThemeForest or anything like that. So check out my resources below, and I will see you in the next video.